I think we have very short memories. We've just come from Pakistan where we've won a series in Pakistan, which we've never done before. We've just come from a T20 World Cup where Bangladesh made the Super 8, which has never happened before. We just came from New Zealand where we won games there, which has never happened before. So we're very good at looking at what happened yesterday and what's happening now, but we're not very good at acknowledging the path of the last 12 months. And over the last 12 months, you've seen huge improvement. You guys generally go good, bad, win, lose. We have a very different way of looking at things. You know, we're playing against India, who's the best team in the world. So if we're going to measure pure outcome, then there's a lot of countries that come to India that have bad tours. But what you have to measure is the learning. We have to look at the future of what we have coming up with Champions Trophies, other T20s, and we have to look at end of some legends that are finishing for Bangladesh, finishing their career, and what we're bringing in. We look at the tour in a very different way. We always enter a game of cricket in order to win. That's the nature of playing sport at international level. But we also understand that we have to review and reflect realistically. We are very fortunate to be touring India because you can get a lot of learning done. And the learning has to be honest. And what the learning does when you play a country like India is it drives your training. Because India let you know where you have to improve. So you have to be very eyes open when you come to India.
We have one veteran still in the team, Mahmudullah. He's going to be playing his last. But you have some new players coming in. What are exactly your honest learnings here? And you said that it's going to be a learning curve with the Champions Trophy in mind and 2026 T20 World Cup. But what are the actual learnings we are going through right now?
I think when you look at, the individual skills, one thing we have to acknowledge is that from a fielding point of view, we've been superb. The reason we've been superb because the honest reflection is that fielding is not influenced by the opposition. That's up to us. So it's very controllable by us. So a lot of credit has to go to the players on how they've gone about the fielding element. So that removed, when you look at the bowling and the batting, one thing India will always do to you is put you under immense pressure because of the level of skill they have. So the learning is how do you absorb pressure for longer periods of time? How do you read the game better under pressure for longer periods of time? But most importantly is how do you prepare? And that has to evolve, that has to change all the time. But as I say, it is a privilege always to play in India because when you play the best team in the world, they help you understand where you need to improve.
Maybe Bangladesh team is the only team always talk about learning, and you also talk about learning after every series. Don't you think it's time to perform well and win the match and series? Not talk about learning?
I think those are two separate questions altogether. Because I think if you talk to the best in the world, they'll always tell you that every day is a learning day. And when you stop learning, that's when you have a problem. So that is not an issue. Because even India, 𝗀 𝗂𝗪 gave an interview at the end of the game, and he learnt in that game about bowlers he can use in different things. You're always going to be learning. So that's a separate question altogether. When it comes to performance, I think we have very short memories. We've just come from Pakistan where we've won a series in Pakistan, which we've never done before. We've just come from a T20 World Cup where Bangladesh made the Super 8, which has never happened before. We just came from New Zealand where we won games there, which has never happened before. So we're very good at looking at what happened yesterday and what's happening now, but we're not very good at acknowledging the path of the last 12 months. And over the last 12 months, you've seen huge improvement. So there isn't a magic pill, there isn't a magic bullet, but what we can see is a huge amount of improvement over the last 12 months. So let's acknowledge that and give credit where that's due. Look, I'll give you an honest answer. I'm the fielding coach, so those conversations, that's probably not a question for me, but what I will say to you is it's very condition based, and we're very fortunate to have someone like Miraz because he can bat at the top of the order, he can bat in the middle. We've seen the progress he's made from a batting point of view. We've tried him at the top of the order with the ball, which he has done well in the past. The last game is just the last game. That can happen. That's T20 cricket. But he gives us options because he has three skills which are of a very high quality. So at the moment, because he wasn't at the T20 World Cup, again, we're going to be using him in different positions to actually find a role where he will play for the future. But at the moment, all I would say is that we're very fortunate to have an international cricketer of his standing to be able to use wherever we think is pertinent for the particular game and conditions. I don't know, you better ask them. I have no idea. I would imagine, having played international cricket for the length of time they have and performed to the high level that they have, I think the most important thing that we need to acknowledge is that they've forged a path for young cricketers to follow. And, with any luck, they're going to be around to help, whether it's in whatever capacity, but to be able to pass on that experience that they've gained over the past to make the next generation better. But, Bangladesh has been very fortunate to have cricketers of their caliber play for that length of time. And, as a group and as a country, we wish them the best of luck. Yeah, I think, again, you're just giving me a hard fact, but you're not giving me why. When you've got a player who weighs 95 kilos and 100 kilos, and you've got a player that weighs 65 kilos, it stands to reason that one's going to hit the ball further than the other one. Yes, there's technique, yes, there's timing, yes, there's things, and we're continuously working at that. But you can't compare, you have to compare apples with apples. And then you have to look at the IPL. The IPL is the best T20 tournament in the world. The level of intensity, the attention to detail, the quality of the players, it's a separate entity. So the IPL prepares players to play at international level. So you're comparing two completely different things when you look at how many sixes India hits. It's like saying how many sixes do the West Indies hit and how many sixes do we hit. I mean, these guys are phenomenal athletes, big, strong guys. And we are in the process now of, we're very lucky in our S&C, Nathan Kali, and what he's doing with the players. Already we've seen a huge difference from a strength and conditioning point of view. So it will take time, but you cannot fight genetics. We're playing against a phenomenal opposition in their own country. But no, I'm being facetious. You're very correct. I think you also, when you look at the difference between the two teams, as you've acknowledged, it's pretty obvious what that is. We've also, when you look at the top of the order, Imon's played 2 games of T20 cricket. Yes, we have some experience along the way, but I agree with you. We have, from a batting point of view, we have underperformed according to our expectation. And you can take performance and an outcome as 2 different conversations, but yes, we would have liked to get 170, 180. It doesn't matter if India get 220, 230, because that's a bowling conversation. But yes, I acknowledge that we should have got a few more on some very good surfaces, but India have bowled really well too, and we probably haven't taken the options that we should have taken at the particular times of the game. But that's where we look at how many games of T20 cricket our batters have played, and can the learning happen faster? Of course, learning can happen faster. It can always happen faster. And are we talking about learning? Yes, we are. And there does come a point where, as a player, you've also got to take it on yourself when you've played a volume of cricket that you can't keep making the same mistakes. That stands to reason. And that's not just with cricket. That's in every walk of life. That happens in the office. It may not have been, but I'll tell you at the moment that 𝗜𝗺𝗽𝗃 has won games of cricket with the gloves for us. And at the moment, if he's not the best, he's definitely in the top 2 wicket keepers in the world. And last time I checked, he was a human being, not a robot. So these things can happen. It may or may not have been. I can't answer that question. That's always the way. That's always our goal. Let's also remember that commentators are paid to talk. So I wouldn't take everything commentators say as gospel, because that's their job and we respect them for their job. But just because they say something doesn't make it gospel. I think we listen to them a bit too much. Look, when you play T20 cricket, it's the shortest format of the game, and it's the one that brings teams closest together. But when you look at outcome, I know people, the expectation is you either win or you lose a game of cricket. We have our own KPIs which are pertinent to us within our change room, and we want to keep hitting those KPIs. We know if that happens over a period of time, and when I talk a period of time, I'm not talking 1 week, 2 weeks, over a long period of time, if we're consistent at hitting those KPIs, you will see performance improve. So yeah, we know what we're trying to do. We probably haven't achieved all of it as well as we'd like to do, but you can see by Taskin's performance in the last game what can happen when you do hit those KPIs. The thing is, with a question like that, it's very difficult to answer it directly because there's so many moving parts, from a selectorial point of view, there's a lot of things that we have to think about, and I'm not privy to all these conversations. The other thing that we'll take into account is obviously the conditions and where we're going. And when you look at into next year, a lot of our cricket is going to be based in Asia. So those conversations and that planning will be done by the head coach and selectors and other people above me. So, but a very good question, and there certainly is a plan. Again, I think we've answered the question around the batting. 250, are we prepared for that? I think, is anybody prepared to go for 250 in a T20 game? We do a lot of research, we do a lot of analysis. We're very much aware of different grounds and the runs scored on these grounds. So, you know, we've had our meetings, the individuals have had their meetings, and we will try to the best of our ability to execute the plans we have in place. And, you know, cricket's a funny game because, you know, you can release the ball as a bowler, and once you've released the ball, it could be the best execution in the world, and it can land up in the stands. At the end of the day, as a bowler, we can't be looking at outcomes. You have to look at how well you execute your plan. And if you execute your plan, and the guy on the other end hits it for 6, well, that's life. It's not like golf and tennis where it's all on you.
For more updates, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Download 𝗃𝗵𝗃𝗃 app to enjoy exciting games and highlights. Visit 𝗃sports.com.